linaponya, jina Yesu, jina tulilopewa.
Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath once more. Tunaambiaje wanakwaya? Wanakwaya, asante kwa nyimbo nzuri. Na sasa hivi wanaelekea kisingo. Tunawaombea sauti zenu mkifika pale, simtukuze Mungu. Amen. Sasa tumefika ni masaa mengine, tunamkaribisha kiongozi wetu ili aendelee kutufundisha yale ambayo alikuwa ametutengenezea. Ni wangapi walikuwa wamekuja wiki mzima? Wenye walikuwa wanakuja walikuwa wachache, lakini natumai walibarikiwa. Na wenye mmejiunga na sisi leo, tunaomba Mungu awasaidie yale ambao mhubiri anaenda kutuambia yaweze kuwa ya manufaa kwenye maisha yetu. Takapatoka jioni, tutoke tuko na chambo la kumtukuza Mungu na litusaidie kwenye maisha yetu. Amen. Wacha tuombe. Baba, katika jina la Yesu tumekuja kwako Masaya, tunakurudishia sifa na shukrani kwa maana umekuwa nasi tangu asubuhi mpaka tumeweza kufika Masaya. Angalia yale ambayo mhubiri anaenda kuleta mbele ya wanawako Baba, naomba tusimuone yeye ila tukuone yeye. Yale ambayo anayoenda kutufundisha wewe ya manufaa kwenye maisha yetu, tutende kulingana na mapenzi yako Baba. Tunaomba msamaha wa dhambi kwenye tumetenda kinyume na mapenzi yako, utusamee Baba na utukumbuke katika ufalme wa mbingu. Nimeomba haya nikiamini katika jina la Yesu aliye Bwana na mwombezi wetu. Amen. Karibu.
Good afternoon, happy Sabbath. I would like to request you to move to the front. Wale mmeketi nyuma tafadhali, na wasihi msonge mbele. Wanakwaya wameondoka, kwa hivyo hatuko wengi sana. Struggling with Kiswahili. Okay, please move to the front so that we can share. Thank you for moving to the front. So I had promised that we are going to talk about parenting, for the parents to be, for those who are parents, for those who have been parented, and we are going to read a very familiar scripture. I'll make my presentation a bit short so that I can get your questions, your comments. If there are some online, I'll also appreciate if I can respond to them, because this is my last presentation. Naondoka kesho. This is our last day. So the book of Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6. I know this is a scripture that most of you, all of you know. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6, it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Training is very important. What we are, what our lives are at the moment currently as adults, it's because of the training that we received or did not receive growing up. I am going to give you 7 tips for training children so that when they are old, they will not depart from what you have trained them. So I'm going to share 7 tips, and then I will take your questions and your comments. The first thing I want to share is, as parents, we need to train our children to solve their own problems. Problem-solving skills. We need to train our children to solve their own problems. As a parent, it's very easy for me to want to step in. Mtoto akiniambia kuna changamoto, mimi kama mzazi na niko na experience na niko na pesa, pengine ni rahisi sana. You just want to step in and solve the problem. So the child does not get to learn how to solve their own problem. It can be even a problem like, my friend is not talking to me. Some parents want to even go and meet the friend. They say, please talk to my child. Why are you not talking to my child? What has my child done? Some parents even go to the extent of, unapata your son, your daughter is an adult. They're having a girlfriend, boyfriend. Wako na conflict. A parent wants to step in to go and say, now why are you hurting my son? Some of them even want to go to the workplace. Your son, your daughter is working. Personally, I have shared this many times. In my place of work, I supervise interns. Nimeona wazazi wanaleta intern, ati they are bringing them on the day they are reporting. Then the parent is the one who is talking to me. This is my child, they have completed a degree in pharmacy, so they are coming for internship. I say, wait. How old is this child of yours? 23, 24. Do they have an ID? Yes. Do they have a KRA PIN? Yes. Do they have a bank account? Yes. So why are you bringing them here? I normally tell the parents, please get out of my office. I'm not going to talk to your child as long as you're here. The parents leave. Then I ask the child, if your parent is bringing you here, mostly it's fathers and daughters. If your father is bringing you here, when you are having a challenge, is he the one who is coming to work? I mean, is he the one who is coming to work? Then the child says, you know, he insisted on bringing me. At that time, the parent is still standing at the door. I tell them, I told you to leave. Then you hear them telling the child, nakungojea kwa parking. Imagine, this is a parent who never trained the child to solve their own problems. If your child has a challenge with homework ni ya mtoto. Kazi yako ni school fees. You can guide them, you can show them how to do, but they need to be the one to do. Some parents even do homework for their children. If they have something they need to talk to the teacher, you are not the one to talk to the teacher. You empower them. You give them skills how to go and talk to the teacher. You stand there as a coach. You are guiding them. So you need to teach your child how to solve problems. There are people in marriages who cannot even solve problems with their spouses. I don't know, maybe you've not encountered this, but I've encountered where you find a grown man in a marriage, anaanza kuambia the wife, now wacha niongee na dad kwanza, nisikie dad anasemaje. Wacha niongee na mom kwanza, then I hear. Or they come and say, ati my dad has said, this is the name we are giving this child. An unborn child. Somebody is discussing with their mother, their father, a name to give an unborn child. So them they are discussing, they are coming to tell you, my dad said we name this child. That is none of their business. It's the business of the married couple. So unapata, that is somebody who never learned to solve their own skills. Unapata, maybe it's a lady and they are saying, hii issue lazima niongee na mamangu kwanza. Let me talk to my mother, then I'll get back to you. Now, you can seek advice from wherever you want to seek advice. But please, do not come to your spouse and start saying, ata mamangu alisema hivi, ata dada alisema, ata sistangu aliniambia hivi. Even if it's a preacher, and you think the preacher is so inspired and spirit-filled, never go home and start telling your spouse, ati sasa preacher alisema hivi. You will make your spouse to already even oppose what you're saying. I was telling ladies this. If you go for a seminar, umeskiza, you are feeling so convicted and converted, go to your spouse and say, I have been praying and reflecting. Obviously, you pray. I have been praying and reflecting, and I feel the Lord is telling me this. Of course, God speaks through people. So say, this is what I feel after we have talked about it. I have thought about it. I've prayed. I have a suggestion. Never say, I listened, the preacher said. You'll be told to disappear with that preacher of yours. Even if you have very good ideas, I'm telling you, even if you have very good ideas, but you start saying the preacher, even my sister does that, even someone so-and-so's husband does this, they will tell you, go and marry that husband if they are the ones you want. So it's important for you to learn to solve your own problems. If you're having a problem, research, find out, but eventually own that solution. research, just do whatever you need to own the solution. So maybe you were taught not to solve problems as a child. There was always somebody rescuing you. So you have not learned to solve problems. That is one of the causes of problems in marriage. Because somebody cannot own, they are just saying, you know, my friends have advised me. This is what my friends have told me. So why are you telling me? Disappear and go and stay with your friends. Because your friends are the ones who are telling you what to do. So it's important for parents to teach the children to solve their own problems. As I said, homework is the work of a child, not the work of a parent. Number 2, your children are not a replacement for a spouse. Your children are not a replacement for a husband, for a wife. Many times you find mothers saying, my children are my everything. Ama hata anaanza kuita mtoto wake, they start telling the child, you are the man of the house. A child is 8 years. They are the man of the house. Yes, you may not have a man of the house, but you need to acknowledge that we don't have a father in this house, so there are certain things that are not going to happen because we don't have a father in this house. But you never treat your son or put your son in the place of a spouse. Your son can never be your marriage partner even if you don't have. And that's why some parents do everything. They sacrifice their life, everything. Then when a child wants to make a choice, they start manipulating the child. After I did everything, I denied myself. This is what you can do to me. Who asked you? Who asked you? The child is being a child. They are not being your spouse. You should not abandon yourself and give up your life because of your child. I'm not saying you neglect your child, but I'm saying you also need to know you are an individual, you are a human being, and you have a life. If you have conflict with your partner, your child is not your counselor. Your child is a child. They are not your counselor. Get a counselor, get a friend, get someone to talk to. Talk to an adult. Don't talk to a child about problems you have with your spouse, because you put a child in a very difficult place. Children feel helpless because they cannot help you. They were not even there when you met. So why are you involving them at this point? Sort your own issues. Sort your issues with your counselor, with an adult. Your child is not a replacement for your spouse. They will never be, and they should never be. It's putting a child in a place where they feel they will never be enough, because they are children. They are not adults. They are not yet mature. That was number 2. I'm sharing 7, then I allow questions and comments. Number 3, encourage. This is training your child now. Encourage your child to have relationships outside of the family. Don't guilt your child by telling them, family is everything. As long as you're with a family, you don't need people outside. Everybody needs friendships outside. The family is like a nest. It's like an incubator. People get incubated, they learn social skills, then they go out into the world. There are people who grow up being so closely, enmeshed. They are so closely attached to their parents that in their mind, their parent is like their partner, their spouse. So it's very hard for them. Anytime they are going out there and they're interacting with people of the opposite gender, they feel like they are betraying their partners. Do you know there's something like that? There are people who are so close to their parents that it's hard for them to get married. They stay because their parent is the standard. Did you know that? Okay, we have children in the house. They don't have another program. I had hoped this was for adults. Now, maybe if children have their program, I will appreciate if they can go. There are people you will find, men, for example, very close to their mothers. Anything they see, they're just saying, hey, this dress can look very good on my mother. This can be very good on my mother. Everything is about their mother. So when they have a partner, maybe a spouse and a wife, they are not able to let themselves to be so close. I'm now trying to use softer language because I can see children. They cannot allow themselves to get so close, so intimate with their partners, because in their mind they feel like they are betraying their mother. You see the way sometimes you're told, to run away from mommy's boy. You know, it's or daddy's girl. There are girls who talk every sentence. You know, my dad, you know, like my dad, you know, my dad, for example, my dad, you know, my dad. Such people, they are not yet ready. They have not individuated. So the reason why you are told to run away from that mommy's boy, we are not talking about men who respect their mothers. That's very different. Respecting your mother is very different. I'm talking about a situation whereby my mother is my everything. My mother is my world. My mother is my sunshine. You know, without my mother, I am not there. Such a person who their mother is their everything. They have no space for another person. They don't have a healthy relationship with their mother or with their father. So anytime they are trying to get intimate with a spouse, kuna something in our block, because it feels like they are betraying their mother or their father, okay? So we need to encourage our children as parents to have relationships outside. It doesn't mean when somebody has a relationship, a friendship outside, they are betraying the family. The family has its place. The other people in the outside world, they have space. And then I go to the other one. So once they have formed their friendships, we need to release our children to the world. Release your children to the world. If your child wants to go to another continent, release them. We were created, Elder Chia told me over lunchtime, and I totally agree with what he said. We multiply and we subdue the world, the earth. God gave us the earth to subdue. If your child wants to go to Asia, wants to go to China, support them. Let them go to the four corners of the world and subdue. Don't tell the child, sasa unaniacha peke yangu. I'm going to be so lonely. Yes, that is what is supposed to happen. They are supposed to grow, then you release them to the four corners of the world, wherever they want to go. Support them. So that was number 4. Was that number 4? Let me go to number 5. Or I go to number 4? Okay, fine. Whichever. Provide for the needs of your child while letting them carry their share of life's burdens. It's your responsibility as a parent to provide for your child. Their food, their shelter, their clothing, their education, it is your responsibility. No child should be hustling unless they have no parent. Okay, can we settle? Can we settle? No child should be hustling unless they don't have a parent. A child needs to be provided their basic needs, food, shelter, clothing needs, and school fees. And as a parent, let them carry their share of life's burdens. If I'm paying school fees, homework is yours. A parent should not be the one chasing grades at the university when they have an adult son or daughter. They are the ones chasing to see whether they are going to school. I have been giving my son is in university, so I've been giving him his school fees, and it's quite a lot of money. So I've been giving him his school fees. So the other day I told him I'm going to give him the school fees for the 4 years. He's in first year, and it's going to range in millions. I said, I'll get school fees. I give you your school fees for the 4 years. You put it where you want to put it, then you'll be paying for yourself. And some parents said, what if he misuses the money? What if he gambles? I said, it means I have not trained him to carry his share of life's burdens. Me, I have gotten the school fees I'm giving you. Manage yourself. I told him the next thing, I want you to call me for your graduation. This is your school fees. And I said, what has changed? When I was in high school, I used to be given my school fees. And I knew, of course, I was a child, so maybe I shouldn't have been given. But at that time, my mother was very clear. Anakuambia hii ni school fees, ukule ni sawa. Uende shule usiende ni sawa, kula mandazi, utarudi nyumbani, tutaingia shambani. And she used to say, I will even be happy because I have an additional workforce. So just go and eat it. And I could not, of course, even eat a coin. So this one I told him, I'm going to give you your school fees for 4 years. The next thing I want to hear is attending your graduation, and you're graduating at the top of your class, at the dean's list, because I've given you the money. And I am not worried. I'm not worried. I've already given him for some semesters and he has paid. So I'm not worried that he will take charge because it's his studies. And I'm not telling you to give your child money if you don't trust them. It's a process. It has been a journey for me. So I said, it's your degree. Me, I did my degree, by the way, and I passed very well. So it's yours. You want to get it, you don't want to get it, you are an adult. You have your ID, your KRA PIN. If you do anything, you go before a court of law. I'm not expected to be there. You stand before a court of law. Ukipelekwa jela sahi, utaingia committee. Utaingia ama whatever, utaingia adult prison. Utaingia ya juvenile. Si utaingia as a man with the other men, with the others 65-year-old men. You'll be with them in the same prison at 18 because you are now a man, you know. So it's really up to you. So while we provide for our children, we need to let them carry their share of life's burdens. You know, their parents who want to decide for a 14-year-old ni nguo gani anavaa. Unapata mama anatolea 14-year-old son nguo, Friday anampigia pasi. Are you serious? And then you raise handicapped men who become a burden for their wives. When the wife has traveled like me, unapata my husband cannot even find his socks. Of course, my husband is not like that. He cannot find his socks because maybe, I'm just giving an example, the mother used to give him his socks and he's expecting me to be giving him his socks. Some men cannot even pack their own clothes when they are traveling. They are, sijui nimekanyaga live wire hapo. They want their wives to pack for them. They are your clothes. Before you married me, who was packing for you your clothes? So have their hands been cut? Hey, excuse me. Unapata, like now they are just seated. A friend told me that the mother cooks tea. She cooks tea anaiweka kwa meza na kikombe. She goes to the market. She makes tea, puts it on the table. She goes to the market. When she comes in the evening, the father has not taken the tea. And he's so mad. He's quarreling. You went to the market, you stayed a whole day, and you were not here to pour for me tea. See, I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you. At 78, 80. Now I've not taken tea the whole day. Niko na baridi, sijakunywa chai, we umeshinda soko the whole day. And she has gone to the market to sell things and buy food and bring. He cannot pour tea for himself. So this man is now younger than a 2-year-old because some 2-year-olds can pour the tea for themselves. Unapata mzazi, a parent, a mother, they have grown children, they are serving them food. What is wrong with you? You are serving people who have hands. Can they serve themselves the amount they want to eat? Or instead of you eating, you keep saying, Daddy, kadadi, umekula, dad, umekula, now mkono, dad, now mkono. Then you end up not eating. After a short time, you are 40 and you're looking like you're 68. And then people start saying, umejiachilia. And everybody else, they come to church, they are slaying. Wanna slay. You are just there in sackcloth. Ati that is a sacrifice you give to be a mother. Who told you? Until even the children are embarrassed. You're going for their school meeting, wanakuchagulia nguo. Wanasema, ma'am, uvaa hii nguo, na nywele yako utengeneza hivi nywele, make sure umetengeneza umeishika na clip. Because you're embarrassing your children by kujiachilia. And you're not even doing anybody a favor when you are miserable. You're not doing anybody a favor by being miserable, imagine. Bado we uko tu lamentation. People have gone there in revelation. Things are being revealed to them. We umebaki kule. Then you are saying, you know, me for as long as my husband and my children are smart, mi niko tu sawa. Unakaa tu kama gunia. Ati me, as long as my husband and my children are okay, me I'm okay. My friend, utajua hujui. Kitakuramba rambi. Tashanga. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. These same people, they will turn and blame you. They will say you are a disgrace. You are an embarrassment. So if you have prepared food, lead by example. Lead by example. If the choice part you like, maybe you eat chicken, for example. You don't eat chicken, maybe you eat soya. Let me use an example of chicken for those who are watching me. Maybe you like chicken. Just an example. And now that chicken, the part you like is gizzard. That was me. I like gizzard. So if I liked gizzard, I will start by serving myself the gizzard. Because growing up, I was told, as a girl child, you don't eat gizzard. Ukikula gizzard, hutawahi olewa. Na mimi nimeolewa 21 years. Na hata sijapelekwa kwa baraza la wazee. 21 years. Then I was told, as a girl child, you don't eat the back. Ukikula mgongo, unakiwa kichwa ngumu. Na hiyo mgongo nilikula. And I think maybe bado niko kichwa ngumu tu. Ni sawa. Sini life. So, inakuwa sasa hapo, me, I lead by example. I would lead by example at that time. I tell them, guys, welcome. You can taste my fantastic cooking. Open the hot pot. Take the gizzard. Take the back. Then I say, welcome. See, you lead by example. Seeing is believing. So they have to see. Then they just see. But okay, I was not taking good care of myself earlier. So maybe I should do a disclaimer there. I wasn't taking good care of myself. So the things I'm telling you, they are things that I did wrong. So I'm also sharing from my mistakes. So I was not taking good care of myself. I was just taking care of everyone. Then by the time people are ready, we are going to church, I just pick anything that is going to fit me. I just throw it on my body. I'm oiling myself on the way, because I didn't have time to shower to oil myself. Until I realized my children are growing. They just go to the kitchen, they prepare a salad, mtu anakaranga njugu, anakaranga mayai, blend ka smoothie pale, anaserve analeta kwa meza anakula. Nikienda kitchen, they have served everything. So I'm asking, Allah, kwani this njugu, there is akuna? They say, oh, we thought you are okay. Because I'm telling you, maybe they are watching me, they can comment. I taught them that I'm okay. I taught them I'm okay. So somebody has picked the salad, ametumia, ametengeneza, amechukua, ameserve kila kitu. And I'm assuming the way I used to serve you, surely umenibakishia. They say, oh mama, that is very strange. When you need to eat, me I thought uko sawa. Because I had taught them that me niko sawa. Tukienda, if we are going to the shop and I'm telling them, help me pick a dress, they say, no, I've seen something very nice here. I want to pick. They pick. Then I find I've spent all the money. Me, I went to buy a dress. I end up not buying. So I taught them that me, I'm okay. I had to quickly cycle back and change things. I now just tell them, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. So I have to teach them that I need to take care of myself first so that they can know that I need to be taken care of. Because I realized I'm going to be old and my children will never know that mommy needs to be taken care of at that time. Because I taught them that I'm okay. You see, I taught them I'm okay. So you need to teach that you also need care, just like the way they need care. And I'm not saying you are neglecting your family, but you are not neglecting them because you are just serving the choice part. Then you are telling them, you guys, even if they got wings and legs and the head, siyo ni sawa. See, that's what we ate growing up, na soup hivi, na mboga mingi, hizo hata ndizo healthy. So, provide the needs, provide the needs, but let them carry their share of life's burdens. So don't overfunction, don't carry double the burden while your child is walking through life without any burden. Because what you are doing, you are raising children who are going to be a burden to their spouses. You just find that even a spouse, like if it's a husband, the wife cannot even go anywhere because she'll be saying, I need to take care of my husband. I need to take care of my husband. So the wife cannot even live fully her purpose because she has to be there to take care of the person who has hands, who can take care of their own stomach. You see? And you will find somebody is having big children like mine and they're still saying, I cannot travel. I have to take care of my children. These are big people who have teeth and they can bite. But you actually think that these people need you to breathe. And they don't even need you. So you don't want to raise children who are going to be a burden to other people when they go into the world. The other point is, that should be number 5 now. Number 5 or 6. I don't know which one it is. I think 6. Now, once your children get married into your home, there's a way you do things in your home. That's your home. It's not their home. So do not expect your child's spouse, they are going to respond and do things like the way your children do things. That is not your child. That's why it is called daughter-in-law, son-in-law. There is a law that separates you. People have tried to modify it by saying daughter-in-love, mother-in-love. No, there is no English like that. You are just forming your own English. But at the end of the day, you struggle because you are wondering, why aren't they doing things this way? Why aren't they responding? Just the same way also that your mother-in-law is not your mother. Your father-in-law is not your father. So don't expect them to respond the way your parents would respond. So it means if your child's husband or wife, let me talk about wife more because they are the ones who come to our home. If your son's wife, you can see there is something that maybe she needs to correct. It is not in your place to correct them. You did not bring them. You need to raise it with your child. If he can raise it with the wife, that's okay. If your son is okay with it, it's none of your business. Don't start saying, my son, I used to cook for him ugali every morning. Well, my children have been eating ugali most mornings. Then you start saying, now he has married a wife from I don't know where who is cooking indomie for him. It is fine. Ile ugali amekula imetosha. Wacha akule indomie sasa. If your son is okay with indomie, wachana na yeye akule indomie. If he is not okay with indomie, he will talk with the wife. If you think you care so much and you're concerned, ask your son, I notice now you people are having indomie for breakfast. Is it okay with you? If your son says, I'm okay with indomie, shut your mouth. If your son says, no, I'm not okay, ask him, why can't you people, not that, why can't that wife of yours cook ugali? Why can't you people consider cooking ugali then for breakfast? Because I think you will be full for longer. If he says, my wife is not an early morning person, and he cannot cook the ugali himself, wacha wakule indomie. Choices have what? Consequences. That is your son's choice. It is not your choice. If he's eating indomie, don't start cooking ugali, alafu unatumana ugali plate moja, ugali na mboga, one plate for breakfast. You start saying, hey, me, I cannot watch my son eating indomie. I'm just going to be preparing my ugali. I serve a portion, I send to my son. You're killing that marriage. You're sending. And then you're even saying, Aki kadadi, when was the last time you ate brown ugali? Ni kitambo sana. Tangu nikupikie, Aki ni kitambo, tangu ukule brown ugali. If your son wanted to live with you forever, hangeoa. See, let him have a change. Akule indomie. Kwani indomie inakuliwa na nini? Na dogi. Sinakuliwa na watu. Na yeye amechagua hivyo. Maybe he's okay with it. So mind, stick to your lane. Stick to your lane, and any suggestion you have, suggest it with your child. There's a father-in-law, another man. He called the son-in-law, akimuitisha pesa mingi. He called the son-in-law, kamwambia mchukulie loan ya around $500,000 ati anajenga nyumba. He called the son-in-law. What on earth? I cannot even imagine. Those are some of the things that the ancestors will turn in their graves. Of course, the dead know nothing. So I already know that, in case you want to correct me. But I'm just saying there are things that we do that are totally out of character. Our father-in-law is calling the son-in-law ati get for me, nichukulie loan, $500,000 na jenga nyumba. You know, by the time I was intervening in the marriage of this couple, the marriage was falling apart. And the lady told me they have not been intimate, physically intimate, for a year. The man just switched off completely. He switched off. So they have one child or they have two. The lady desired a child. The man simply switched off. He had no desire for her. And he just said, I want to, if you're tired of being here, pack your things and go to your father. I don't want to hear anything. How do you ever recover such? How can you, as a father-in-law, call your son-in-law asking him for money? How? If you need money, talk to your daughter. If she can talk with her husband, if they have, they will give you. If they don't have, jipange, arrange yourself. If they don't have. But if they have, you talk to your daughter. You don't talk to your son-in-law. Mipaka, boundaries. Every healthy relationship has boundaries. There are boundaries. Some mother-in-laws, they make it a project. They start telling their daughter-in-law, now we are going to be fasting for your husband. And that time, this husband maybe is in addiction. Ama kuna vitu fulani tu anafanya. Then they are making their daughter-in-law, we will be fasting. Alafu tutaenda milimani. Tuenda kufast. We pray for your husband. Pray for your son. You are the one who gave birth to him. Get your female friends, muombe your son. Achana na your daughter-in-law. She can pray where she can. But you cannot have made her inherit a problem and then you want to make her cure that problem. No. No. It's enough for her to deal with the problem as it is. Pray for your children. Just pray for your children on your own. Don't recruit her. I know sometimes we think we want our daughter-in-laws to be our best friends. It cannot work like that. A few can be, but 90%, no. There is a law that is separating that relationship. You know, there are some cultures whereby I'm told mother-in-law and daughter-in-law could not hug. Si kuna culture kama hiyo? They couldn't hug. Alafu you think ati ni juu walikuwa washamba sana, sasa sisi ni wazungu, tutahug. Unajua, we can hug, but I think that culture was meant to put a boundary so that you don't have areas of conflict. You know, the more mnaingia close na mtu, you get, the closer you get, na ni mtu mmemit when they are adults, the more the conflict is going to arise. Because you will definitely see something that you don't appreciate. You see, when you go to the village, you notice their homesteads. Unapata kulikuwa na homestead, alafu vijana wamepewa nyumba, they are living there. After some time, the daughters, of course, they are allowed to cook on their own. But still, zile conflict unasikia hapo where people are living within the same compound, unapata kwa mother-in-law, unaamka asubuhi, a fat cockroach is walking through the door. Then you start looking at your daughter-in-laws, the one who is the fattest. Unaanza kusema hii cockroach ni kama imetoka kwa nani, kwa nekesa pale, ule ndiye amenona hivi. Okay, sio kama kuna nekesa hapa. Hii cockroach imetoka kwake. So you start saying, yani mimi I'm trying to kill cockroaches, but zinakuja no. Ni za ule mtu mnono ndiye analeta cockroaches. I mean, you start quarreling even over cockroaches. Unajua? Things that ordinarily you should not. In fact, Ellen White says in the book Adventist Home, no, Child Guidance actually, I'll get the page. Somebody can help us with the page. Where she talks about children from the same family who are related by marriage. She talks about them not being raised in the same, within the same, you know that one. They should not be raised within the same space. People who are related by marriage. Because she says you get exposed to things that you should not get exposed to. So things that should not cause conflict, they cause conflict because of the relationships that you have. Unapata hata watoto wako hapo, maybe they fight, you know, children fight. But because of that relationship, the fights even go to parents. You see? So for you to avoid conflict, you need to have boundaries, mipaka. Once you have healthy boundaries, you will enjoy a better relationship with your children, with your spouse. So in other words, what I'm saying, there should never be a time parents-in-law wanagombana na, for example, mother-in-law. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship is one of the most problematic relationships. Isikue at a time mother-in-law na daughter-in-law wana quarrel. That should never be the case, because the person who has brought them together is the son. So if there is anything, the buck stops with the son. Mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, they should have an area of respect and treating each other well. Number 7, training your children. The 7th tip is, it is not your responsibility to parent your grandchildren. You are a grandparent to your grandchildren. You are not a parent to your grandchildren. What do parents do? Parents discipline children. Parents provide for children. It is not your role unless there are circumstances, there are things which have happened, and maybe the parents are not there, maybe it's a situation, a temporary situation. But if your grandchildren have their parents, it is the responsibility of biological parents to take care of their children. So you are a grandparent, not a parent. Ellen White says in the same book, Child Guidance, Grandparents are not the best suited to raise grandchildren. They might have raised their children very well, but they are not the right people to parent their grandchildren. So your grandchildren are your grandchildren. So you don't start pressuring your children, atipata watoto munipatie ni walele. Si ulilea wako, tosheka. You took care of your own children. You need to enjoy your golden years. Upumzike, usiamke usiku. You sleep until tomorrow morning. And maybe some grandparents say, oh, me, I'm living in an upmarket area. You know, I'm living in Muthaiga, for example, and my grandchildren, my son is living in Mathare. I don't want my grandchildren to grow up in Mathare. If you live in Mathare, nothing wrong. I'm just using as an example of neighborhoods. Ama wacha nitumia another neighborhood. Maybe your grandchildren live in Kawangware, you live in Lavington. Then you are saying, unajua hewa ya Kawangware na ya Lavington ni tofauti sana. Let my grandchildren grow up in Lavington. But they are not your children. If you raised your child in Lavington so well, so why did he go to the other side? If he went, it's okay. That is where he can afford to raise his children. Let them be raised there with their own parents. You can empower support from a distance, but you cannot move your grandchildren because now my son cannot afford to pay for them school fees in a public school. Let me take them to a private school and pay. Are you immortal? When you are dead, what will happen? Or when you are no longer there, what's going to happen? Are you immortal? What are you teaching your grandchildren? You are teaching your grandchildren that it's the role of grandparents to take care of grandchildren. So do you know what your grandchildren will do? They will get their own children, take them to their parents in Kawangware. Because you taught them. And you see, at that time, they are looking at you as everything. So your grandchildren will always know, parents kazi yao tu ni kupata watoto, unapelekea grandparents. Na si ajabu, those grandchildren will become teenage parents. Because already wanajua, mzazi hana responsibility. You just get a child and then you give the child away. A question you may ask me, I'm going to open it up for discussion. You may ask me a question. What do I do if my child gets a child and they are a teenager? Because your child, your daughter most likely can get pregnant and they get a child and they are a teenager. Okay? First of all, I want to tell you something. By the time a child is getting a child, there is an issue that needs to be addressed. Si kawaida kupata mtoto, I'm talking about a teenager, getting involved sexually. If you see a teenager getting involved sexually, there is an issue that needs to be dealt with. So if you go ahead and first you want to abort them, number two, maybe you want to give them contraceptives, number two, you want to take up that child very quickly, ndaendelea na masomo, you are missing something. And you're paying. Later on, you're going to pay. And when you pay, the interests are going to be high. So you need to take a break and ask, what exactly is the issue? What is it? What's the issue? What was this child looking for when they went to engage in sex? What were they looking for? Were they looking for love? Were they looking to have a sense of belonging? Were they looking for money? What were they looking for? You need to address it at the root. Once you have addressed it, now the government has a back-to-school program, but you need to ensure that this child remains and breastfeeds this baby for a minimum of 1 year. You need to take a break, get the child out of school. They need to breastfeed this child for at least 1 year. You know why I'm telling you that? Because a child who has not been breastfed by the mother, they're also likely to become a teenage parent. You understand? A child who has been abandoned by the mother, who has not been breastfed, even if they have the best grandparent, they are most likely going to also be a teenage parent. So what you're doing, you're not just sorting the immediate issue. You are sorting a generational issue. Because if you ignore, you quickly take this baby, you tell your daughter, go back to school, I'll take care of the child. I want to guarantee you, by 14, 15, 16, this grandchild will bring a child to you. Because they did not experience the love of a mother. So they are also going to look for that love and connection. They get pregnant. And when they also get pregnant at 14, you will still take the child without knowing this grandchild will, this great-grandchild will bring for you a great-great-grandchild. You will be 78, and you're a great-great-great-great-great-grandparent. And all these great-great-great-grandchildren, they are with you. It sounds funny, but I hope you get the point. So you would have, by losing a year, just a year, By losing a year, if you can lose 2, the better. But by losing a year, you are going to stop the intergenerational pattern of fatherlessness, getting great-grandchildren. So you will say, it's okay, my daughter, I understand. I am here. I love you. I want to support you. I will give you food. I will give you shelter. I'll give you clothing. But you must stay here. Utulie, ufikirie, unyonyeshe mtoto, ule mtoto wako. Yeye mwenye amke usiku. Mtoto akilia, usianze kusema hata ni mdogo sana, wacha mimi nilele na mtoto, mfunze. Now she has become a mother. So tell her when the baby cries at night, you check them like this, you breastfeed the baby, take care of the baby. To the point that the baby is now weaned, then you can go back to school. In the process, you're also teaching them choices have consequences. I know they are children, but you're teaching them choices have consequences. I've seen cases where parents have aborted their 14-year-old child, Adventist parents. They have aborted a 14-year-old child. When this child, maybe they're in class 8, because amemaliza class 8, they got pregnant, they abort them, aingia form 1, anaingia form 1. Kiwa form 2, they get pregnant. Mwenye sasa ashafunzwa, they now abort themselves. They abort. So unapata wengine wameniambia, after my mother aborted me, I aborted 3 times. Then eventually by the time amemaliza form 4 ako college, abort 3 times. Then when they are getting pregnant in college, sasa they are like, aki again. So they get a child. Now they get married to that person. But they never learned skills. They never learned delayed gratification. They never learned that even when you're having sexual desires, you have to silence those desires and say no, because it's not the right time. So they were taught, fix it, fix it. You get pregnant, we just go like this, 1-2 minutes, we abort. Some of them, they give their children contraceptives because they think they are trying to avoid pregnancy. The same child, yes, they go to university, then they hear, there's something called sexually transmitted degrees. They catch the sexually transmitted degrees. They finish, they go to work. Then when they go to work, the boss tells them, my friend, you have to go horizontal for you to go vertical. And they go horizontal for the boss, for them to go vertical. Because they learned that there's always a quick fix solution. They get married. Unaona, they're in a good marriage. They're in a good marriage. But then they start saying, you know, my husband cannot even buy for me flowers. At a Valentine Day, hakukumbuka. And they see this other guy in my workplace who is showing me attention. So me, I just go for this one who is showing me attention. Because they were never taught that it can't be that you need it, you get it. You know, you can't get everything you need in life. Even Nakumat that was saying you need it, you get it. Where is it now? See, it's closed. You need it, you get it. There is no law of life like that. Hakuna imaishani, there is nothing like you need it, you get it. You have to grind, you have to persevere. You can't need it and get it. Haiwezekani kabisa. So anybody who is saying that, you become extinct. So I know that as parents, you don't want your generation to be extinct. If you want your generation to be extinct, teach these children, you need it, you get it. They'll be extinct. You don't want to be extinct, do you? Okay, now, any questions or comments? I will be happy to hear. If there is anything from the online audience, I'll be happy to respond. Let's have a mic, a roaming mic maybe. Okay, please raise your hand up if you have any question, any comment that you want to say. Hey, was I so clear? I was not clear at all. Usually many people keep quiet. Mtu mmoja akiuliza swali, unaanza kuona mikono juu. So they need okay, if you have even a comment, you can make it. Is there something that was not clear? Something you want? We are talking parenting, training our children, then when they are old, they will not depart. Anything you want to say? Oh, this is very interesting.
Happy Sabbath. Mine is the relationship between a daughter-in-law and our son. Let's say, for example, a daughter-in-law and our son. you say anything that you want to raise, you need to deal with your son so that he can talk to the daughter-in-law. Now, if you find that there is a difference that cannot be solved between the two, at what time is a parent going to come in and maybe try to sort out the problem?
Let me ask before I respond. Have they told you? How did you know there's a problem that cannot be solved? Just an example. Let's use a case study. How did you know?
You see, you have said you have noticed something that maybe your daughter-in-law is not doing well. You are not supposed to deal with her directly. You are supposed to tell the son that this is because he's the one who brought her to the family. Now, in case you have seen that as a problem, and maybe you have talked to your son, the son is trying to talk to the wife, but the problem is not ending, or they cannot solve the problem. At what time will a parent come in?
Oh, okay, yeah, thanks. That's a good point. First of all, let me say this. I know that this was AWM, not Family Life, but I think now that it has come up, we talk about it. Let me tell you, 90% of problems people have in marriage, they are not problems that have started in the marriage. They are problems people came with. 90%, even you right now, if you're very honest, the struggle you are having with your spouse, there is nothing new. You saw it. You saw. You are aware. You are aware. Even you, the issue that your spouse is struggling with, si kitu imeanza ati juu ya ndoa. It is something that was there, okay? So we begin from that place. Now, when people are having a challenge that cannot be solved, most likely that's a problem they came with. It's not a problem that started in the marriage. So as a parent, you have observed that there is this issue. You have maybe raised it with your son. They have tried to address it. They are not able to resolve it. Advise them to talk to an independent third party. They need to talk to a professional. They can talk to a counselor. They can talk to a pastor. They can talk to a mediator. They need to talk to an independent third party. Because I can tell you, when parents come in, most of the time, things get messed up. You know why? Because you are a person of interest. You are a person of interest because you are emotionally involved with your child. You know your child, you don't know this person. You can try to be neutral, but I want to tell you, when the rubber meets the road, everybody protects their own. When the rubber meets the road, even the advice you're going to be giving, you'll be giving advice geared towards supporting your child. That's it. So it's not that you're being bad or anything, it's human. So because you understand that I am biased, because I am, you know, like right now, I have 3 sons I love so dearly. I have breastfed these children for 6 years. They have been on my breast. I've carried them in the womb. My son can do no wrong. Even if you come and tell me, and I know my son has that weakness, you will tell me today. By the time you tell me tomorrow, I look at you as the enemy. What is your contribution to my son's struggle? Because as a parent, we quickly become defensive. You don't want to keep hearing about your son because you feel like it means I did not do a good job as a parent. You know, we cannot separate that. Anytime ukisikia, even when your child is an adult, ako 50 years, unasikia alifanya hivi, the first question, nilikosea wapi? Simmesikia hivyo. You start saying, kwani mimi nilikosea wapi? You know, that's how we are as human beings. So let's not try to act like we can change nature. So you advise them, tell them, I can see you are struggling with ABCD. Say what you can see. Don't say, you know, everybody is talking about it. You know, I have been told. Even if everybody is talking about it, even if you've been told, never say that. Just say, you know, I have been observing you. And I have noticed that you're not as jovial to each other the way you used to be. Is there something I need to know? If they tell you, just ask, is there something I need to know? If they tell you, that's fine. If they tell you or they don't tell them, I suggest you seek the services of a competent professional or an independent third party to help you navigate. Recommend strongly they get an independent third party. Wewe jiondoe. Because if you get in, you will mess up things. Jiondoe. Even when you want to be neutral, the person who is not your child will always see you as being biased. Do you know that? Even when you want to be so neutral, you want to say this, the person who is not your child will always see you that you're biased. Na hata atakwambia wewe unasema hivyo because nani is your son, me I'm not, I'm not your child, okay? So recommend services of a third party. Now, if they get services of a third party and they get to a place things cannot work, na unaona ya kwamba they want to separate, just in the worst case scenario, I'm just saying, you notice they want to separate, please do not give your opinion. Don't start saying, you know, God hates divorce, mimi naomba tu mungekuwa pamoja, because you will say that, people will come back together. If somebody is killed, you are blamed. If things go south so bad, they will always keep saying, mimi hata nilikuwa nimepanga kuenda. It is the fault of this person. I'm here because of so and so. No, let people own their decision. Just tell them, it breaks my heart that you've not been able to resolve the issue, that eventually you want to go separate ways. It really hurts me. I'll be praying for you, but I will respect your choice. Whatever choice you make, I am here, I respect it, I will support you, and to me, you'll always be my daughter, you'll be my son. There's nothing more I can do. So accept as a parent that you can release people to make their own decision. And tell them, if you ever think otherwise, I am always here to support you. You can count on me. Okay? Yeah. I hope it's clear. Is that clear? Thank you. Okay, we have a lady over there. This lady, then that lady.
Thank you. There's this issue that happened, I think, this week about Ian Njoroge, who beat up a police officer so thoroughly. And then when I saw the comments that were going on, the issue was like, he has been raised by a single parent, and even at some point the mother came up and she was actually defending the son in the process of apologizing for what the son had done. So my question is about the single parenting. It's on the increase, more so for the boy child. It is even being said that majority of men in prison have been raised by single mothers. Is there a solution? Is there a way that we can have a balance? Because mothers tend to protect their sons more, and when the father is not there to be hard on the son, we find sons are being raised with a feeble hand. So is there a solution? Because it is a reality that more single mothers are currently raising their children. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe let me say this. I caught wind of that story, but I didn't watch it, and I wouldn't like to comment about people I've not talked to. Most of the because I know there are many perspectives, and so because I've not talked to the mother, I've not talked to them, and I don't know the full story, maybe that story I won't comment on it specifically, but I'll comment on what you've asked about children raised by single mothers. It's not being said, it's a fact. It's research that has been done, and it shows that obviously when a child, most single parents are mothers anyway, because fathers, when they abandon their role, men die earlier than their wives, mostly. So you will find that a mother is left to raise the children. And because she's a woman, she's challenged in terms of raising the boys. I think that's a fact. It's not anything that we can change. And I talked about it partly. I said sometimes you will find as a woman, you want to treat your son as the man of the house. So you find that a boy is young, but they are being treated like they are a man of the house. They are being given responsibility like they are a man of the house when they are still young, which is not fair for them because they are still children. Now, you are talking about if there's a balance. First of all, we have to come from a place where we say, this is not a normal situation. Like it's not normal for one parent to be raising a child alone. If that is normal, God would have given people an opportunity to procreate by themselves. But you see, there's something we call sexual and asexual reproduction. I think we did something like that in biology. The thing is, reproduction for human beings takes two people. So the expectation is two people will be raising the child, because there is a role fathers play, there is a role mothers play. You know, it's normal to find as children grow older, especially boys, usually they will tend towards the mother, because the mother is the first female, closest female that they have. Sometimes, you know, my sons will start telling me, the father will say something, then they start saying, what is this guy saying? And then I tell them, excuse me, you cannot call my husband a guy. No, I tell them, I'm not taking it. My husband is not a guy. You can't. This is my husband. Then they start saying, hey, mommy, I say, shut up. I said it's my husband. So you're not going to start saying, what is this guy saying? One time, I thoroughly spanked my son when he banged the door on the dad. My husband is very gentle, for those who know him. I'm the iron fist in the house. So I noticed my son was 11, and I had purposed I'll never spank a child. So I had not spanked him for many years. So he was asking the father for something. I said, but he's in the room. Wait for him to come. Then the boy is knocking, he's saying, no, I want this, I said, no, but your dad is in the room. Then the dad asked, what is it? He said something, then the dad said, it's not possible right now. The boy took the door, he banged it. I said, this is where we draw the line. I know people watching me, they'll say it's violence, but it's my choice. You can also say your story. So now, what I did, I told him, my guy, this is where we draw the line. Your father may be gentle, he doesn't hurt anybody, but we have drawn the line. I picked that child. I took him to the kitchen. Let me tell you, Minor, nilichapa. Let me tell you, Minor, I chapped that child. I said, wait a minute, this is disrespectful. Because I knew if I don't spank this child, I don't discipline him. You may not spank your child, that's okay. For me, that one I spanked, I said, if I don't spank this child, I'm not teaching him respect for authority. I'm teaching him to go out in the world, and he will talk like that, behave like that to a police officer, he will be shot. So we are dealing with a matter of life and death. I cannot let a child do like this. I spanked that child. I said, I have rarely spanked you. But the fact that you've thrown the door at your dad because you know your dad cannot spank you, it ends here. Nilimchapa. Then he went to the room. He started acting, oh, he's not talking to anybody. I said, stay there. He stayed for some days, for some hours. He came to look for food. And he said he was not talking to me. I said, I'm not talking to you as well. We are not talking. Kept quiet. Eventually he talked to me because he needs me more than I need him. I need nothing, but he needs me. He needed me to sign his diary. So he started doing sign language. I said, we don't do sign language here. We have to open your mouth, use your words. The boy, I'm telling you, we have not dealt with the disrespect because it's something I've never seen. And he even told me, please don't tell my older siblings. They were in school at the time. He said, don't tell my older siblings what has happened. Don't tell them you have had to beat me. I said, I will beat you, my friend. So you see, so what I'm saying is this. So you will find naturally, boy children, they gravitate towards their mothers. They want to be protective, especially if they can see the father is not there. They want to be protective. And as a mother, it feels so good when you are being protected by your child. And if you don't have a balance, if you don't realize, that's why I told you, your child is not your friend. Your child is not your spouse. Your child is not your partner. Your child is not your protector. So if you don't have healthy relationships with other people, you will start enjoying that nurture, that care from your child. So you get to a place whereby the lines are blurred. There are no boundaries. There are no boundaries. Even when you need to deal a firm hand with the child, you don't deal a firm hand. And this guy had even told me on my birthday, he was going to take me for lunch in one of the top eateries. He has saved some money. But I said, I'll spank you. He didn't take me for lunch, but it's fine. It's fine. So you see, because I know, I can take myself, or the dad can take me if he could. The dad can take me, but anyway, I can take myself to begin with. So you see now, you begin to enjoy that company. You don't start treating this child as a child. You start treating him as an adult. Then over time, you're protecting him. And especially when he has not seen male authority. So it's good to expose your child to male authority. Get authority figures who can speak into the life of this child, you see. So for me, what I have done, I've had to get my children to get coaches, they get coaches, and the coach can push them. When he's telling them to do something, he pushes them. He tells them, you can't do this. You know, when mwanaume ni kujituma, jikaze. You know, they have somebody who teaches them. Because chances are high, if as a woman, you are the only authority figure in the life of your son, utamulea na umama. Na si kwa ubaya haki. Utapata kijana tu ako kama anatembea kama anaongea kama na act kama si kwa ubaya, like I'm not saying disrespectfully, but you see the way you are raising him, unamulea tu na umama, which is okay, because we ni mama. But you also need to get somebody who will respect, somebody who can raise him and raise him to be a man, yeah? It doesn't have to be a relative, but it can be someone they look up to. But again, be careful on that person, because there are some people who have sexually abused these children, men. They have even introduced them to drugs and alcohol. So it is your role as a parent to get a role model for your child. Yeah, that is part of your assignment as a single mother. Okay, yeah, I hope you get. Thank you. Let's go to the other one. There was a hand behind there. Sorry, I may not be seeing the ones at the back. If I'm missing you, maybe you can. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Happy Sabbath. Okay, there is this scenario where a mother has 2 sons, and then the 2 sons are married. But no, the first son is married to, let's say, a very devoted lady, a Seventh-day Adventist lady, who has the fear of God in her. And so this mother now wants to manipulate this lady. Eh? She wants that this lady does whatever she wants. She's the one who makes decisions in this family. And then at some point, this lady says, no, this is where I drew the boundary. And then the mother is not pleased with the same. And now she starts cursing this couple. Because, then she starts saying, oh, your wife is disrespectful to me. She doesn't listen to me. Then you're like, are you supposed to listen to the mother or to your husband? Then at some point, this couple decides to move far away from the mother, because this is a mother who wakes up this morning and says, I'm coming to Nairobi right now. You tell her, Mom, wait, maybe you can come in 2 weeks' time or 1 week's time. The mother says, no, it is now or never. And so the son is like, she's my mother, what can I do? Let her come. But when she comes, you find that you're not ready to host an extra family member because of the financial constraint and some other issues. And then, and at some point also, this lady had to block the mother-in-law because of the way she was. Every time she calls, the conversation doesn't end well and all that. So what advice can you give to this couple or this lady? Because now the mother feels, oh, you don't like, the husband feels, you don't like my family members. It's like you don't love them. They are part of my family. Blah, blah, blah. But then when you invite these people to your family, they come and they make your life miserable. What advice can you give to this?
That's a problem with the husband. They're just drawing the mother-in-law into this. It's a problem with the husband. He might have been raised in a home where the mother is controlling, because the way you are describing, it's like the mother is controlling. She's deciding when she's coming, but the husband is probably behaving like a child. Because if your parents have raised you, and you are an adult, and your parents want to come, and you're not able to tell them, and they're not able to respect your word, then there's a problem with that relationship. So for me, I would say the problem is the husband. He needs to let the mother know it's not possible for you to visit at this time, because you can see the way you are describing, and I say, oh, it's my mother. You know, the moment somebody starts telling you that it's his mother, and it's like he's putting you at a place where you need to choose, there's a communication problem with that couple. So for me, what I can say, the responsibility is on the husband if he is willing, because he may not be willing also. Now, if the husband is willing, he can put boundaries with his mother and with these people. If the husband is not willing, she cannot force him. Herself, she needs to decide not to have conversations with his mother. If the mother calls, let her say, hello, how are you doing? We are fine. If she starts going down that path, she says, Mom, I need to attend to something. Thank you, bye. She disconnects the phone. Yeah, and let her decide when she's picking the call. Such people, you don't pick the phone call in the morning before you go to work. Atakuharibia siku. Send a message and say, I can't pick your phone right now. Can you SMS? Let them know you can SMS. The moment you don't pick the phone twice, thrice, they won't call you again. You see, if you keep indulging them, think about the children of Israel. Did you think Pharaoh allowed them to live? How many plagues? There were 7 plagues until finally Pharaoh's child died. When Pharaoh's firstborn died, he released them, but he didn't even let them go far. He said, those slaves have gone. They were serving me. Run after those slaves. So she has been a slave to them. They will not release her like that. She has to put her boundaries, where she just says, Mom, I love you, have a good day, bye. And you just go. So the moment you don't continue indulging, feeding the dragon, it will die. The husband is going to say, you don't love our people. You know the name for that? That is manipulation. Manipulation is a mind game. You don't play a mind game. Because he's now acting victim. He's beginning to make it like his people are victims. You are the one who doesn't want them. So if he goes that path of you don't want my people, you say, I'm sorry, I can't continue talking to you in this way. If you're bringing your people here, sorry, I love you, can't talk about it, thank you, get going. Enda ukiendanga. Then the next time again, just say, we can talk as long as you don't manipulate me. Because with that, unaona sasa hiyo ni manipulation. That's like a dog chasing its tail. Can a dog ever catch its tail? It won't happen because the dog is running. So they can talk, but first they need to talk, the two of them. They need to know that the family is separate. They're also separate. And they have to stop acting victims. So that is, and from what I said earlier on, that's an issue that was brought into a marriage. She got married to a family where people don't have boundaries. So now you are in a marriage that people don't have boundaries, then you also continue playing in the same league. You don't. You just say, you know, I love you and I want things to work, but we cannot continue working in this way. Things have to change. Yeah. Good. Okay, let's have another question. Was there someone? Did I miss? Oh, I think there's a hand here. Oh, Amma, there's somebody at the back. Yeah, I think there's a hand here.
Thank you, sister. One of the points that you've given us as the tips is that we should be taking care of being providers for the children. I've realized, and I think it's true, that most often, or today, a number of men especially have neglected their duties to the point where they're not taking care of their children. So you find that a woman, in fact we have such even amongst us as Adventists, yeah? A woman is being left with children, and maybe she's not even stable to provide for these children. Some of them are in school. And because of lack of empowerment, maybe, they don't even know how to go about it. So is it right to advise them to go about it legally, or what can we do in this case? How can these women be helped? Because it impacts on the children. Yeah.
So there are many ways of, there are different ways of looking at that. She's talking about providers. So the role of parent is to provide. We have many cases where women have been left to raise their children and they are not able. Is it okay to pursue it legally? Now, there are people who don't have capacity to provide. So it's different. So kuna ule hata ukumpeleka kotini yako hoe hai. Hata ana hiyo pesa, uta waste tu pesa yako kotini na ana ene. Now, there are people who they have the money, but they don't want to. Okay? So here, from what I'm hearing, we are addressing somebody akona pesa, but hataki ku provide. Okay. So let me, before I get there, I'm going to repeat something I told the ladies on Sunday. Some people will choose to misunderstand me. But if you misunderstand me and you want clarification, I will clarify. Okay? So the thing is, by you being born as a woman, by the very fact that you were born as a girl, you are at risk. By the very fact that you are born as a woman, and it's good we are talking about AWM Emphasis Week, you are already at risk. Because pregnancy and childbirth related complications are the leading cause of death among young women, especially 14 to 19. In other words, what I'm saying, pregnancy is like an open grave. When you are pregnant, the grave is open. It's a matter of time whether the grave will be covered with you inside or you will make it. People die. When they are giving birth, when they are pregnant, people die. So as a woman, and this is something you need to tell our daughters, by virtue of the fact that you are a woman, you are at risk of death, even if you are in the most empowered society already. What does that mean? The choices you make as a woman, lazima ukwe rada. Meaning, you don't give birth with people who cannot even be there for you when you are not making it. There are times that you can barely make it as a woman. In fact, research has shown that the pain related to delivery, childbirth, is the most intense pain in the world. There is no pain that is more painful, even the pain of cancer. There's no pain that is more painful than the pain related to childbirth. It is like they say, scientists say that it's like breaking 24 bones at once. 24 bones zivunjike mara moja. That's how the pain of delivery is. I'm just trying to raise awareness to tell you that when a woman is pregnant, giving birth, breastfeeding, she's at her most vulnerable. So if she is vulnerable, it's life and death. And the person who is impregnating her is irresponsible, it is double tragedy. So as a woman, you cannot allow yourself to get married, get pregnant with people who are irresponsible. Some women even bring men into their houses. The woman has a house and they are bringing the man into their house. Are you serious? Like you're bringing the man into the house. Then helping him, the man is not doing anything. They are helping him, they are starting a business for him. It keeps folding up because the man never learned to do what? To run the business. They buy a car for the man, it crashes. And then they keep on doing this, they keep on rescuing. And this is a man, they are even saying, I'm pregnant for him. I even took a loan. Imagine I even took a loan. We built a house for his brother. I even took a loan to help the father. You even take a loan to pay dowry for yourself. And then now you are pregnant with this person. Then you want this person to provide for the child. Are we foolish or something? Let me ask you. If you brought the man into your house, you started a business for him, you get pregnant for him, you get a child, then you want him to take care of a child. Has he shown you that he's capable of taking care of a fly? He cannot even take care of a fly, a house fly. Can't even take care of a house fly. Because he has nothing to eat so that he can have something to feed the house fly. So you want him to take care of a whole human being when he could not even take care of himself. Now that cannot work. So begin from the choice. I like going back. I'm not going to the graveyard, but we need to understand where it's coming from. So begin from a point. The man never demonstrated capacity to take care of a fly. So here you want him to take care of a human being when he cannot take care of himself. Some of them can even have money, but the moment you go out, they want to borrow you money. They want you to buy lunch. Let me tell you, the natural instinct of a healthy man is to protect, provide, secure. The natural instinct of a healthy man, they want to provide. You go out, you're going to eat, and I'm not saying the man is the one to do everything, but you go out to eat, especially a man when they are hoping to win you. No healthy man will expect you to buy lunch. When they are winning you, they're in the process of to win you. So if you see they start doing splitting the bill 50-50, ama technically bill ikikuja anahepa, anaenda washroom, anaenda kwa phone call, anakaa, unalipa. Munafika supermarket, mukifika kwa counter, anahepa kidogo pale, unalipa. You cannot go ahead to marry such a person because that person cannot take care of a thing. So that one, that's a boy. You know, there's a difference between a man and a male creature. So there's some people you are calling men are not men, they are male creatures. Somebody will say I'm insulting. Now, so now you are with this person. So you are with this person, you have got a child, and I said, a man who can abandon his flesh and blood, that is a male creature, and that creature never even took care of a fly in the first place. Because it's a natural instinct of a healthy man to do everything you can to take care of your child. You want to do everything. This is what I can. You know, even if you don't have the money, you're like, what can we do to take care of this child? So now the woman is here. They have the child. And the question you asked, should they pursue it legally? Personally, this is my personal opinion. People can pursue legally. I personally believe no adult should be forced to take care of their child. If they have left, they don't want to take care of their child, it's their loss. And because I know God is not limited, for me, I will concentrate on empowering this woman. First of all, don't get a second child with this person. If you have already seen, don't go, you are getting more children, at maybe if I get maybe because I had a girl, if I get a boy, he will now take care. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So you made a mistake, you already have one child with them. Please stay with that child. Me, I want to work to empower the lady. You get opportunities, you do everything you can, you raise your child. It doesn't mean that you need to take the child to a top school. Take them where you can afford. Government, public education is free. Just take them, and I have seen God providing. God will provide, focus, take care of the child. If the child wants to know their father, that's fine. Give them the contact. If they want to meet their father, that's fine. Don't deny them an opportunity to know their child because they have not provided. There's a difference. Because the child will blame you. So the child wants to meet the father, it's okay. You don't need to tell the child, you know, he has never even bought for you a pencil. No, it's none of the child's business. You just say you want to meet your father, that's okay. Here is his number. You can contact him. You can talk as long as he's not harmful to the child. If he's harmful to the child, you protect the child. You can let the child know the father, but do everything you can to protect the child. Some people go the legal way. For me, I don't believe in compelling an adult to take care of the child. I've found it emotionally depleting. You are so emotionally depleted, it can get murky. You are spending more money to hire a lawyer. You are being humiliated in court. You are being called names. Eventually, the help comes. But for me, I don't think that financial resources, they are a preserve of one particular gender. I believe that once you have set out and you want to provide for your child, I believe the Lord will provide. Because sometimes when you're caught in legal battles, you are so blinded with your rage, your anger, your frustration, you don't even see opportunities that are coming your way. But there are many opportunities, and you can be able to raise this child to be a meaningful member of society if only you can focus. Don't give energy to people who don't deserve. Because if somebody cannot take care of their child, surely they do not deserve your attention, so you don't need to give them your attention. Yeah, thank you. Okay, good. I think we have, I think I've answered the questions that are there. Is there anybody else who may want to say something? Or you may need me to clarify something maybe I've said which is not clear?
I have a question.
Okay, you can check if there's any online. Were we online?
Yeah, we are online. I've been checking.
Okay.
Now, question number one is, see, currently, families are facing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And we have witnessed scenarios where people have committed suicide, others have even killed one another. And the trending saying currently is that if the relationship has become toxic, then instead of dying or committing suicide or waiting to die, you walk out. Now, how do we deal with this as Christians? Because also, there are Christian families which are facing a toxic relationship, but they are dying because on their wedding day they were told that until death do you part. Now, should I wait until I die there, or if it is too much for me, I can walk out? That is question number one. Question number two is on the empowerment of children. You know, you are training a child to be responsible. Or even some of us were trained responsibly, others maybe they were not properly trained. Maybe, let me use that word. These two people have found themselves in a family, and family life, when you attend family life class, you are taught that there are things a man is supposed to do, there are certain things that a wife is supposed to do. Now, you mentioned that I'm a man, it is not good for my wife to pack even my things I'm traveling. But now, family life tells me that my wife should help me. If I decide to pack my things, my wife will feel like maybe I'm rendering her useless, yeah? Like I'm doing her job, you see. Yeah, so how do we marry these two things so that we don't find ourselves in a conflict whereby the other partner will see like you are no longer interested in the service she's offering to you or the service you are offering to her?
So, yeah.
And you are trying to do your things your own way.
So those are good questions. Let me help you. First of all, remove what we are saying family life teaches you. Because people will teach what they teach. Personally, I believe in the Bible. There is nowhere in the Bible where you are told, women, you shall pack your husband's clothes. I want us to be clear. Many times we get confused because we take culture and we take it as the Bible. For me, anytime anybody stands in front of me, even if it's a divine hour service, the message they are speaking to me has to be confirmation. It's never information. You're not informing me. Because I have the Bible I've read and I've asked God to talk to me. There are things people can say based on their culture and their circumstances. So for you, you are meant to test every word. So whatever family life is telling you, test it with your beliefs, okay? If something is not in the Bible, thus said the Lord, treat it as an opinion. You see, like what I told her about the coat, it's my opinion. It's not about what the Bible says. It's not that you shall go to hell if you go to court. No, no, no. It is my opinion. So opinions of men are opinions of men. And whatever works for them, as long as it's not in contravention with the Bible, that's fine, okay? So this is the thing. As a couple, when you come together, I personally resist the urge to give blanket advice, telling people men should pay school fees, women should cook. I don't tell people that because it depends on the culture they are coming from. You and your partner, you need to sit together. I hope you are able to go through premarital counseling. Even if you didn't, you can still sit together, you agree. How are you going to live in this home? Because there are homes whereby I've been told the men like to be the ones to cook. So if you start saying women should cook, then the man will start saying, so in the home where we cook, does it mean it's not working? Sit down and agree based on where you are coming from. I've never packed my husband's clothes, and I think he can get so shocked if I start saying I'm packing for him. We'll even ask, Kwani, you think I'm disabled? Like, why would you pack for me? But there are people who like to be packed for. That's their choice. And as long as your partner is also okay, because it's not about my way or the highway. Ellen White says, don't load on your wife because she will not love you. She will not reciprocate. Or don't load on your husband. So don't bring the way people run their home to your own home. Okay? There are people who believe in their partner needs to cook for them, serve them. If their partner is okay with it, that's okay. There are people who say, some men say, even if they are both working, for them the man needs to take care of everything. That's what they have agreed. They are okay. For me, that will never happen in my home because I believe in I'm a partner. So if I'm working, I also need to bring to the table so that both of us run this home. There are men who get offended when their wife fuels their car. They get offended. They say, woman, I've heard them many times, woman, you are married. How can you fuel your car? They have a problem with that. If that is what you desire and you have shared and your partner is also okay, there is no problem. The problem is when one partner wants to do something and their partner is not okay with it, then it brings discord. The other thing is comparing. Like you see the way as we are running our home, the way the other people are running, you want to copy. Sometimes I've seen women are very fond of this. They go and see kwa kina so and so, things are happening this way. Then they come and even tell their husband, what kind of man are you? Because if so and so can buy a car for the wife, what kind of man are you? But you see, that is their family. If you want a car, you can ask your husband to buy for you without quoting so and so. And if he's able to buy the car, he will buy. If it's not able, you need to accept that he's not able. So no comparison with others, no blanket advice, and whatever you want, talk with your partner, then you agree. The example you gave, like if you started packing your clothes, your wife may feel you are rendering me maybe inefficient. If you talk, like for example, you say, by the way, I've noticed that it's overwhelming for you packing for me clothes now that the children are small. I want to be packing my clothes. You have communicated. I don't think there's going to be a problem. But if somebody just suddenly decides to start doing something, then ule mwingine na yeye aulizi. Anytime couples come to me with a problem, usually they have another problem. There will be a communication problem as well. So unapata already ile problem wako nayo ya finances, it's not finances alone. It's because the other person is not able to communicate. So in other words, in short, the roles and responsibilities family life gives you, they are not in the Bible. They are not in the Bible. But if it works according to a specific culture, that's okay. But then when we begin doing things that are not maybe cultural, or they are not biblical, or we are not communicating, or our partner is not in agreement, then there is a problem. Please sit down with your spouse, agree on the way you want to run your family. And both of you need to be in agreement whereby not one person is being overwhelmed. Because when somebody is being overwhelmed, they will not be intimate with you, because they struggle with intimacy with you because they are feeling overwhelmed. You want your spouse to also not be too tired when you need them. Because if they are too tired and you need them, then they will not be there for you. Now, the other one you have raised, the first one was walking out. Okay, this is what I can say, and this is even the guidance that we get from our church. There is no, it is not God's plan for anybody to be in an abusive marriage. If you are in a marriage whereby you're being physically abused, the guidance, even according to the law of the land, and the guidance according to our church, you leave. And I'm not saying divorce. I'm saying you leave. You separate yourself because your life is at risk. You don't know whether the next thing is what is going to lead to death. So you separate yourself. That's the guidance. You can check online. You separate yourself, then you get help. You get help. I don't encourage people to jump at the first sign of trouble, because usually, trouble, I don't mean violence. Of course, physical violence, you have to leave so that you are safe. So usually what happens when you're having a challenge in a relationship, it's not the fault of one person usually. And I'm not victim blaming. Usually it's not the fault of one person. And if you don't take time to understand hii shida imetokea wapi and what is my part in contributing, you will get into another relationship that is worse. It will be jumping from the frying pan to the fire. That's why if you ever meet somebody who has a marriage or a relationship that ended and all the blame 100%, anawekea ule mtu mwingine. Anakuambia they were a narcissist, they were this, and then they were the innocent person, they were being abused. Already you know that is somebody who has not reflected. And that is somebody who is not ready to get into another relationship. Your role could even be you enabled. You kept quiet. You did not speak when you needed to have spoken. Your role could even be that you did not see the red flags. So I personally, for physical violence, you have to leave, separate, take time to seek counseling, talk to a third party, pray first, find out why did I find myself here. And God willing, God can give you an opportunity to repair the marriage, okay? If you are being emotionally abused, somebody is criticizing, they are hurting you, emotionally, yani they make you feel bad, they disrespect you. You need to put boundaries. You tell them, when you speak to me that way, it hurts me. It's not fair. I'm hurt when you talk to me like that. When you insult me, I get hurt. And if they don't stop, you tell them, next time you talk to me that way, I am going to leave, like move out of that place. So maybe you're in the living room and they're insulting you. Tell them, as I told you last time, when you speak to me that way, I will leave. Leave and go to the bedroom somewhere else. If they follow you, tell them, if you talk to me that way, I will have to leave this house. And don't threaten, because sometimes you threaten that I'm going to leave and you don't leave. It becomes a game. Only say something you are going to do. So they are following you and they are insulting you, they are doing this, but they are not physically harming you, but they are harming you emotionally. Tell them, when you talk to me this way, I'm going to leave this house. Physically leave the house. When you leave the house, don't go to your parents. As a married person, you don't go to your parents, because when you go to your parents, eventually you will come back, because you will not stay with your parents forever. Then it becomes a game. You're going and you're coming. Your parents will be tired of you. You need to have prepared yourself, whether it means you are going to sleep in an Airbnb or something, but you're not depending on people. And then you say, I am willing to come back, but we need to talk. Let's talk. Because if the reason why you left has not been sorted, you will get back and it will be a vicious circle. Just say, I am here. You can even tell them, you know, as I told you, when you talk to me disrespectfully, I will leave. I have gone. If you want us to talk, you can reach out to me. Then when they reach out, they are willing to talk, tell them, I need somebody else to be here so that we talk about this. The reason why I left, you disrespected me. Are you now going to change? Then you talk about it and you have modalities of coming back. But things have to have been sorted. Otherwise, if you go back, it will just be a game. So you keep going and you keep coming. And when you go back, things even get 10 times worse than they were. I don't know whether I've answered the question. I know it's a very pregnant question. In the month of October, I'm going to be at Kizingo SDA Church for 1 week. I'll be talking about this topic of End It Now, End Domestic Violence. I'll be covering it a whole week because it's a big topic, so I'll be unpacking it. You can follow it online when I'm there in October. So because it's a big topic and people are getting confused. Don't get confused, because our church has given a statement. And the Bible is clear that you are to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, not as a dead sacrifice, not as a dying sacrifice. So it's a responsibility, your responsibility, to take care of yourself. Don't harm yourself. Don't harm another person, and don't allow somebody to harm you. Do no harm at the end of the day. Thank you. I don't know whether you've got something. Is it clear? Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, sawa sawa. Okay, good. We can take one more there.
Happy Sabbath. There's one case scenario. I would like to seek your help or your advice. That this person, she got pregnant. She had a child. In a given relationship, she was married, but due to some issues, she moved out. So the kid was very small then. And the process, this lady moved on with life. So the little child was left with a relative to be taken care of. So this lady moved on with life. She got married to another relationship elsewhere else. Now, this child, she's not grown up. She's a teenage. Then the mother has declined to recognize as a child. Ana mdizioni kabisa si mtoto wake. Hata akifanyiwa introduction kwa my relatives, she doesn't introduce her. So this lady has been so confused. Where do I belong? I don't have a mother. I don't have a father. He's just moving from relative to relative. How can you advise this child? Because right now, she's a teenage. And luckily, I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck, she has 2 children. That's why I'm talking right now. How can we help her? Where does she belong now? Because the mother disown. Hana baba, hajui kwa ni wapi. Because mama alimleta akamweka kwa relative. Relative akamlea, akampeleka shule, akamfikisha mahali, akamalizia hapo.
In fact, before you completed, I was going to tell you that she will also get children. Because that's how it plays out. Because of lack of a sense of belonging. So she's looking for belonging, whereby eventually she'll get pregnant, and that is the story. I think the way you are describing, I don't even think she has capacity to take care of herself. So this, you are asking, now that is a child of the state. That's a property of the community. I don't see, because if the mother has abandoned her and the father has abandoned her, I don't see any other way they can be compelled to take her. So for me, I will look at it like, I wish that intervention could have been sought before she got children. Because now I'm seeing what has happened. It's a cycle. Her children, they will also get children. And it will continue being like that. Because if she has no sense of belonging, her children feel 10 times worse than she feels, because she's lost. So if there are any relative or there are any people who care, maybe I would say that they can take those children, maybe take them to a children's home or take them to school and give them an education and try to sensitize them so that they can break the cycle with those children. But that's tricky. That's tricky. So that's a child of the community. That's a child of any, how do we say? A child of any person of goodwill. She doesn't belong anywhere. She has no sense of belonging. Yeah. Because even when you force, I don't think you can't even force adults to take somebody they don't want to take. So that one can probably just be taken up by the community, if there is anybody. I know I've done that for a child who didn't have a sense of belonging like that. It was a very tough journey. I took that child, tried to have them go for counseling, help them to break the cycle. But I thank God because that child is an adult and they didn't get a child. You know, like being able to break the pattern. So I would be concerned for her, but more for her children. Because whoever is supporting her, if there is anybody, if they don't, if the young children she has don't get supported, the burden will continue. That is what we call the intergenerational cycle of trauma. Yeah? So people of goodwill, maybe they can step in to help the child. But even when you take her to your home, one thing I want to tell you, she will never feel that sense of belonging. That's why even when you take care of an orphan or a child without a mother, you can love them and literally pour your blood for them, but they will never feel loved. I think people need to know that so that they manage their expectations. Many times people take an orphan in and they think just because I love them, they are supposed to feel like they belong, they are meant to be grateful, but you get disappointed because you see like they never appreciate. It's not a choice. It's because deep down they don't feel like they belong. So even with all your love, they don't feel it as love because walikuwa abandoned and rejected. So deep down they feel rejected. So when you are raising an orphan or when you are getting married to somebody who has been orphaned, you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. Don't think that your love is going to cure. Somebody needs to go through their own journey. Ajikubali ye mwenyewe kwanza. Because kama mtu hajajikubali, hata ujaribu kumkubali, they will never feel like they have been loved. So you can keep on working harder. Because the more you are trying to love them, the more you love them harder, the more you get frustrated. You love them harder, you see like they don't appreciate, so you keep getting frustrated. Yeah, okay, good. I can take maybe one more. Am I saying one more? We take the last one, then we can end. We are a few minutes to 4.
Happy Sabbath.
Happy day.
My question is, okay, how do you help a friend, the mother anapenda the boy child sana kushinda watoto wake wa kike, like anything that inafanyika kwa hiyo nyumba, that boy child has to be considered. Even if the girl child ametumana pesa nyumbani, aweze kutumiwa maybe mahindi ama samaki, because the children are living in Mombasa. The mother insists that hiyo pesa ametuma, the food that is sending, hata kama hakuna ratio ya yule kijana lazima apewe. So the daughters are like, they are trying to break hiyo relationship between the mother and the son. It is just too much. She doesn't even consider the other kids kwa upendo wa nyumba ama kwa upendo wa familia. How do we help that kind of a scenario?
Oh, thanks. I think, thanks for that. I think it's common in many homes. And we were talking about it on Thursday, restoration. We were saying how Job gave the daughters inheritance alongside their sons. It's common in many homes that the boys are treated special. I think the parents thought that it's a way of self-preservation. they say that msichana ataolewa ende kwingine, but the boys are going to stay here and they are going to continue with the generation. Unfortunately, a lot of boy children have been raised badly because of that, because the girls had to take care of them. Now, other than talking with the mother about it, there is nothing they can do. You know, many times the reason why we suffer as human beings, we try to force issues. You know, we try to force issues. The only thing they can do is just to talk to the mother respectively, to let her know that, Mommy, we see what is happening and we are not happy. That's all. We see what is happening and we are not happy. It's her choice. What she has chosen to do, it's her choice. Now, for them as the girl children, you are likely to, pia wewe unaweza feel unworthy, because that's how your parents have treated you. But they need not to allow themselves to feel unworthy. Now, if you are supporting your parents as the girl child, you don't support your parents with expectations. Don't support your parents with expectations. Support your parents out of the goodness of your heart, because they are your parents with no expectations. Okay? If they bless you, I hope they will. If they send you fish and unga, that's okay. But don't support your parents because you are expecting them to give you something. I contributed largely to building for my mother a house, getting a car for her because she's aging and she needs comfort. I send her money every month for the work. I've employed somebody to work for her. I send her money every month for the work and for her personal use. But I don't have any expectations. But then from herself, I've seen she makes sure that she sends me food for my children. That was not always the case, because we were raised in a home whereby the boy children were treated special because nyinyi mtaenda. But over time, my mother has seen, hata kama umeenda, hakuna mahali umeenda, you are still coming back and you're supporting. So maybe as the girl child, I want to encourage, let them remember their parents. Wasiende ati umeolewa, now you have left your parents. Many of them remember their parents. You can talk about it. I've talked to my mom about some of the injustices I experienced. I've told her the way you treated us, the way you used to keep on telling us that nyinyi mtaolewa, nyinyi mtaenda kwa wenyewe, hakuna haja, you know, nyinyi mtaenda. Then I tell her, now see, wenye walienda ni akina nani? Then she says, my daughter, forgive me. I didn't know what I was doing. My daughter, I didn't know. In fact, she told me the other day we were home, she said, all of you have inheritance. I have 6 children. This shamba is for my 6 children. My mother is traditional, so she never used to think that way. But she said, my daughter, I was wrong. All along I said, even if I educate you, ni pesa nimetupa kwa mtu. But I've just realized you have come back, you have blessed me, you've taken care of me. So, but I had to get from a place where I take care of her with 0 expectations. Even if I take care of her, but she sends food, maybe only for my brother, siski vibaya. Because it's her choice. I can buy food. I have money. I can buy food. So I think also we need to release our parents to just know that our parents are imperfect. They have weaknesses, but they still remain our parents. That even when they do that, we can only talk about it. Beyond that, if they choose, as children, we continue being a blessing to them in their old age. If it's medical cover, do it. If it's food, send food. If you need to get something for them, send. Don't have expectations. If they bless you, accept it with thanksgiving. But if they don't, that's their choice. And then you can also choose in your life, you don't also treat your children that way. You know there is no bad parent. Even the bad parent can be used as a bad example. Do you know that? I'm telling you, even that bad parent, there's no useless parent. I think that's what I wanted to say. There is no parent who is useless. Even the bad one, use them as a bad example. And just say, you know, my mother did this, but I'm not going to do this for my children. So you have learned. That is the most important thing. I think that is what I can say. That's how I can help. Okay, the elder, yes. Please go ahead. Elder Chia, right there, say something.
Madam, thanks a lot. This is a wonderful teaching for people who have not reached the age of mine. Amen. I've got 2 points. I've got 2 probably a question. We are living in a global world. We are living in a global world. these our sisters can raise children in a very, very good way. Let them go to those schools which are completely, those are the schools that are really spoiling our children. Because as children, as you know, they can be influenced in a very easy way. Adventist church does not have enough school which we can train our children. You have to go into a public school, you have to go into a place, but most of the problem we find is from this public school, or schools which has nothing to do what you are told for our parents, okay? This is so, I don't know how we can, because we have tried to have the church to have proper schools so that we can send our children, particularly after their mothers have trained them, after their parents have trained them properly, and they go there and what do you see? A child come back in a very clear way, because, you know, this brain, you can be turned in any time. Okay? But the most influence, what I'm saying, how can we avoid it, that we are in a global world, a world that you don't have your own school, you don't have your own, you have to send your children to that school where children have been, I remember when I was very young, we used to have a teacher who was smoking, and children would come there. They are imitating what? Because the teacher smoked, they would come here and when they are sitting together in their classroom, they would say, because they're imitating. So we are living in a global world, Doctor, and this is where the problem is. To me, I don't know what you think.
Yeah.
Where the problem is, schools which are not Adventist schools, they are really teaching our children.
Yeah.
So that is my problem. I don't know how you can advise
Yeah.
the parent, or how we can tell our children that when you go into this school, make sure you are under the influence of some very bad children.
Thank you
Don't
so
copy
much.
it. So the other one, for married lady, can someone read me the quality of a good wife? 1 Corinthians chapter 13, only read me verse 4 to verse 3. About the first quality. Read it in a different version. King James doesn't seem to get it right. I want the one where he's talking about. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4, only read verse 4 to see what you as a lady, the quality you should have, and then you'll have a very good relation with the husband. What does it say? Someone read it loud. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 to 5. The quality of love. What is it? You have not got it. Read it. What is it? Because this to me,
It says,
it has helped me up to now.
love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up. 5. Does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Verse 8, love never fails, but whether there are prophecies, they will fall. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. The last verse is 13. 13 says, and now abide in faith, hope, love, and these three, but the greatest of all is love.
So, my sisters, if you want, I know you will really have, sister have talked about a husband who is very cruel and things like that. If anyone can adopt this quality, which Paul is telling us, you will have a wonderful home. I know you will continue to have very difficult life, but just adopt that quality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder. Okay, maybe we can take that, then I respond. Okay. Would you like to stand, please?
Thank you. I have a question. I don't know why people are laughing, but I have a question for my friend. I have my friend who has been married now for 3 years, and she has a wife, and now they're having a lot of troubles in the marriage. Reason being, when he got married, they decided with the wife ya kwamba after they've gotten a child, the wife will be taking care of the child. But now it has reached a moment whereby the wife wants to go to work. But this husband doesn't want the wife to go to work. He wants the wife to continue taking care of the baby. So they've been having a lot of troubles in their marriage. Only for that reason. The guy doesn't want the lady to go to work, and the lady says, now it's high time I can go to work and look for someone to take care of this baby. So what advice can you give?
What had they agreed? My question is, what had they agreed? Had they agreed to take care of the child until 3 years? What had they agreed?
They agreed in the fact they'll take care of the lady will take care of the child, will win the child completely, and then after some time, of which after 3 years or 2 years, the lady will go to work. Now it has reached a moment whereby the child now can be taken care of by another person, maybe the caregiver, the caretaker, and the wife now wants to go to work. Anasema ya kwamba imefika wakati mtoto anaweza baki na maid, manake nishamnyonyesha ako sawa, lakini sasa the husband still anataka ale huyu mtoto mpaka fike miaka 6.
Why does he want her to take care of that child?
Anasema he doesn't want his baby to be taken care of by a house girl.
That's not the reason. That's not the reason. You see, that's why asking for other people may not be helpful, because that's not the reason. That what you're hearing, you know, normally I tell people there is his story, there is her story, there is the story. What you're hearing is just a tip of the iceberg. That's not the problem. There is a deeper issue there. And you can't even get help for them. They have to get help for themselves, because there's something they are not saying. I can already see a control issue. There's an issue of control there. Because you see, they agreed they were to raise the child until 3 years, then she goes to work. They agreed. 3 years have reached, then he doesn't want her to go to work, and they had agreed. There's a control issue there. So the issue is not even her going to work or not. Because even if she was going to stay home up to 6 years, there's a deeper issue they need to sort out in that marriage. And it's not about the child. It's not about work. It's not about staying at home. There's a control issue. So those ones, you can't get help for them. They have to get help for themselves. And if they don't address it, they will address it when the premiums are very high, when the price is too high to pay. Yeah, because you see right now, you are just talking about cobwebs. The spider is there. The spider will continue producing cobwebs. They have to kill the spider. There is a deeper issue. There is a fear there. There is a control issue there that needs to be addressed, okay? So now, allow me to talk about external influence, what Elder Chia has said. Okay, there's a lot of influence that our children face. So many times when I visit somewhere I'm going to speak, I usually walk around. I've been walking in the mornings to see the neighborhood. And I try to ask myself, if I had a child and I was raising the child in this neighborhood, I personally would not. Personally, I would not. And I know you are going to say, oh, you have money, you have what? I want to tell you I'm not going to raise my child here. I know a lot of you don't stay here, but I've just looked at the neighborhood. If I give birth to a child, I'm raising a child here. Every day, what am I exposing them? I'm exposing them to houses that were built in 1885. Zile za Vasco da Gama. I think Vasco da Gama was staying here. My child is going to see this. My child, from the moment they start seeing, they see poverty. They are going to be seeing people at 6 a.m., they have woken up, they are seated outside. No, there is no way I'm going to expose my child to such kind of poverty and apathy and helplessness and hopelessness. Because you cannot expect to raise a child who is going to globally be a leader, a mover and a shaker, and you have raised them here. By beholding, we become changed. The last time when I was in Kisii and I spoke of family life for a whole week, I told them I now understand why children raised in Kisii town are struggling all over the world. I looked at that environment, I said, I totally understand why children raised in this town are suffering. You cannot expect to raise a child here. Next to the environment in the home is the physical environment. First, there is the environment at home. As a mother, as a parent, you are the first contact your child has. So you teach them values. The expectation is that when they go outside, the values are reinforced. When eventually they go to school, the school reinforces values. Repetition deepens impression. We train by persistently teaching values. When I'm teaching my child hard work, then they are seeing strong men seated at 6 a.m., it's a conflict. The child is conflicted. It doesn't make sense to them. I wish that as parents we can be like Abraham, not like Lot. Some of us have chosen places to live that is good for our cattle, good for our livestock, but not good for our children. Good for our jobs, for our name, for our everything, but we are not looking at the future of the child. Our Adventist schools are good, but I know it's in one of that school, such a school where my son, who is 12 now, 11, he was taught by a CRE teacher that a girl needs to give birth when she's young so that she does not give birth to a child with disabilities. And the age they were being told is 18. And in my home, I have taught them that they are only allowed to get into a relationship after 25. That's what I've taught my children. Below 25, you are young. We are not discussing relationships. We are not discussing marriage. You go to school, you study. You go to university, you study. You get on the dean's list. And you get into the global community. Get a scholarship. I will support you. Go to the farthest end of the world and study. So when you're doing your degree, that is a moment you shine. It's not a moment to shine into somebody's bedroom. You are shining in the boardrooms, okay? Because there are things you can do when you are in university which I cannot do now. If you are told tomorrow you are flying to Canada, you simply pick your bag, you fly. Me, I cannot fly to Canada like that. I have to consult. I have to go to the market and buy bananas for you before I go. But I tell my children, this is the time, 18 to 25. You are learning skills. You are meeting people all over the world. Then my son is told that, oh, a girl needs to get a child at 18 before she's too old. So he comes and says, but Mama, this is an Adventist school and it's an Adventist teacher, CRE teacher. You tell us to study and get into relationships after 25. But the teacher says we have to get married quickly. So I have to counter that by saying, forgive that teacher for they know not what they are doing. And then I even had to go further. I said, look at the life of that teacher and look at your mother's life. Which one do you admire? I had to get to that point. I said, whenever somebody is giving you advice, look at their life. Do not take advice from somebody who has no capacity to use that advice. Do you hear me? A poor person cannot teach you how to make wealth. How? Why can't they apply that and get wealth in the first place? So take advice only from somebody who has used that advice. Number 2, don't take criticism from somebody whose advice you cannot take. I shouldn't criticize you and you take it, and yet my advice you cannot take. So I told my son, you know me, I'll let you to choose. I want you to go and observe your teacher, come and observe your mother, because your mother is giving you advice. Tell me who you admire. He said, Mama, of course I admire you. I said, for what reason? He said, ABCD. I said, then choose whose advice you want to follow, because that child she got at 18, where has it taken her? Sinile ya mwalimu wa maths, alisema utaenda mbali. So nataka tu angalie nani hajaenda mbali, you know, then he had to follow that. So I had to keep countering the myths. When my children joined a public high school, their language changed. They joined a public high school. They came home, they were speaking ghetto language. I said, this language, these 4-letter words, where have you gotten them from? They said the teachers are using 4-letter words in class. Their friends in the dorms are from the ghetto. Nothing, I'm not looking down upon children from the ghetto, but they are from the ghetto. So the language they are using. So they are telling me they can be in class, a boy is running to go and masturbate. And he's talking gloriously about masturbation. And he says he cannot stay. He has a schedule for masturbation. He can't stay a whole lesson. So after 1 hour, 45 minutes, he's telling the teacher, can I go? He says, I have to go masturbate before I finish the rest of the lesson. Then my son comes and he tells me, I say, my God, Then my son is saying he's sleeping at night. He can't sleep because the person on top of the deck is masturbating the whole night. He can't sleep. So he's being exposed to things he cannot imagine. So I had to begin countering, and it's being talked about as being normal. So environment at home first. You're teaching values to your children. Second, the outside environment. Think about it. And it's not always about that you have money, you don't have money. Even Ellen White says in her book, Advent is Home, that you can take your children aside to a countryside place, a small hut where they have a garden, they are tilling. It doesn't have a Mabati structure somewhere, but you have isolated them from some of this squalor and confusion out here. So environment at home, environment there, you have to counter, because we don't have capacity to have the schools that are teaching our children values. So talk to your children when they come on holiday. Spend time. Counter some of the things they are learning, because they are being introduced to things. Even teachers are saying things that are quite confusing. Then I had to keep looking at the environment. So I kept saying, surely if I want my children to go far, I have to take them somewhere where they are seeing people who are going far. So eventually, even where I live now, it was very strategic, because I said, with this money I have, I can have a big home in some place, but I can also have a smaller home in another place. So I said, I will have a smaller home in this place where when my children walk out, they're interacting with the high and the mighty, so to speak. I know you will say it's the high and the mighty of this world, but I'm in this world. So they need to interact with people who will inspire them. When my son said he wants to join a gym, to go to the gym, he had an opportunity to cross over and go to a gym in the slum that was cheap. I said, no, you cannot go to that gym there, because who are you going to be interacting with? Homeboys. Sijui nini nini. I said, no, I want you to go to that gym in some other place there. So when he goes to that gym, the people he's interacting with. And he said, Mama, thank you, because in this other gym, I leave my phone there. Kule kwingine, he went, after a few days, he lost everything. His sweater, his bag, his everything. So he was in the gym, he keeps looking, his things are being stolen. But now he says, Mama, in this other gym, I just go, I put my phone here. I don't need to carry water, there's water there. People are so kind, people talk very respectfully. You know, I said, that is it. So I cannot expect my son physically to live in a certain neighborhood when he grows if mentally I've not taken him to that neighborhood. Sometimes, even if you cannot afford to live in that neighborhood, take a tour. Me, I take a walk. I just take them. I say, let's walk. You see jacaranda trees. You don't see garbage all over. You just see ni majani imeanguka, and the people are sweeping. When in the other place, people are just foul language. They are spitting on the road. Some have TB. They are spitting there on the way. But you have to see this other place where people are spitting with dignity. You make them see, you say, we are not living here, but look, when you shall live in some of those places. Because even when we talk, we are talking about mansions in heaven. Ama you talk about Mabati structures in heaven. See, we talk about mansions. So we talk about streets of gold. So we talk about pearls, door, I don't know, the pearly gate. See, we talk about the glassy sea. Isn't that what we talk about? We talk about the fruits, the trees. That's what we talk about, heaven. So really we have to have a little heaven down here. So the interaction. So for me anyway, as I just want to tell you, even as I end, thank you choir, I can see you've come. Please, I just want to urge you. Please think, I don't know where you live. I've not visited anybody's home. I've not had the privilege. No, I've visited 2 homes. I want you to think about where you are living. Please do not always keep on saying, that is what we can afford. You are limiting yourself. That's what we can afford. And I know you love this church so much. And maybe you are thinking, if I move out of here, I'm going to move out of family life. Please, it's okay to move to another congregation. See, you are still in the faith. Hakuna mtu amekushikilia. See, but the church is overflowing after all. Move. Somebody else will come here. But remain in the faith. So just whatever, identify a place and always think, because children are very impressionable. They are not like you. And even when you look at the person that you are, you have been shaped greatly by your environment. So you can be doing so much in the house, but it's being undone out there. Watu wanatusi, matusi tu. So just think, neighbors are fighting. Muko kwa nyumba, watoto wako wanasikia vita. So it becomes normalized. So they get married, and then they can remember neighbors who are fighting. Let children stay in an environment where people talk to each other respectfully and kindly, so that they don't copy that language. And in case you are just thinking about, maybe you are looking at me, you are like, I would have really wished to do that, but I am not able. We said we serve a God who restores. Please, take time. Don't stay in your small cocoon, in your Majengo area or Bombolulu, whatever. Sorry, I don't know whether you live there. Usikae Bombolulu, unasema ati Nyali ni ya wengine. Siku moja, just toka tu nje, tembea. Me, when I was living in Mathare Hospital, I was working at Mathare Hospital. That's where I raised my children. When we used to go for jogging, we had a field in the hospital. We were not jogging in the field. We were jogging in the field in the hospital once. We used to get outside. We go to Muthaiga. We used to walk in Muthaiga. They still remember. We used to walk in Muthaiga. Tunatembea huko Muthaiga. Tunaona pale ni kwa Kidero, pale ni kwa Kibaki. At that time, I didn't even own a home. I didn't even ever imagine, but I never said, hii ni ya watu wengine. Tulitembea Muthaiga. I even used to tell them, guys, there is more sugar consumed in Mathare than Muthaiga. That is true. So if you want to live in Muthaiga, take less sugar. If you want to live in Mathare, take sugar. There is more mandazi eaten at Mathare, Mahamri, now you call it than Muthaiga. So I used to tell them, let's eat in our home like people who live in Muthaiga. What do they eat? They eat fruits. They eat healthy things because they value their life. So we started eating like people who live in Muthaiga. You start acting like people who live in Muthaiga. In the morning, take a walk and walk like people who live in Muthaiga. Eventually, now we are living in an equivalent. You think I'm telling you stories? You will just say I'm proud, but I'm inspiring you. Tafadhali, by seeing, by beholding, we become changed. So take a break. Even if your children are spending so much time in Bombolulu, take a Sunday, wapeleke Nyali, watembe, waone vile watu wanaishi. Even if you don't live in Nyali during your lifetime, your child or grandchild will move to live in Nyali. See, we are meant to conquer, subdue the earth. Kwani hizo nyumba ni za nani? Si ni zetu. You know, for many times as Adventists, tunakubali umaskini. We glorify poverty. So when you see people who are doing well, you start talking ill of them, because we are glorifying poverty. And we are saying, ati blessed are those who are what? Are those who are poor in spirit, not in material things. Wewe umeona rafiki wa Mungu mwenye alikuwa maskini? Who have you seen? Have you seen my servant Job? He was rich. Ezekiah, when he was blessed, he was also added material things. In addition to his life, we said God will restore your soul and also restore you materially. Okay? So all the friends of God, Abraham, they were blessed. They had material things. So let us stop hii tabia ya kuglorify poverty, and we start humiliating the rich, and we want to glorify the poor. And yet we are always squeezing these poor people to give money towards one thing or the other, wasting so much time when we can spend the time empowering one another and learning the word of God. Even our children run away from church because they are being asked for money, which we are being squeezed for money which we don't have. Okay? I pray that the Lord will bless you. The Lord will restore you. And you will begin walking and experiencing, and your grandchildren and even children, or even yourself, you're going to live in some of those high places in Jesus' name. Let me pray, then I just hand over to the leadership. Let's pray. Our Father and our Lord, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for your goodness, your faithfulness, and your mercy. You've been so good to us. You've taken care of us. The whole week we have learned from you. We have learned so many things. I pray that we will not just be hearers, but also doers of your word. I pray that you may bless us to make the right decisions, oh God, for your honor and your glory first of all, and also to raise our children in your ways. A lot of the environments that we raise our children, they are not encouraging, they are not empowering, they are not motivating them to be the best that you created them to be. I pray for each and every parent seated here that you may give them wisdom. And even for those who may not have resources, Lord, open doors of opportunity for them that no man can close. Give them resources so that they can give their children the best. Education from home, education at school, and even a neighborhood that is supportive of all the values and the qualities that they teach them. I pray that if there is anything we have said or we have done, particularly myself, that has fallen short of your glory, I pray for forgiveness, and that we may forget that which is not useful. But if there is anything I have said that is useful, I pray that your children are going to remember that it's going to benefit them, benefit their families to the 3rd and 4th generation. May you be with us now as we come towards the end of the holy hours of the Sabbath, and as we go to the rest of the week, I pray that you may be with us. Guide us, direct us every step of the way till we meet again. If we don't meet in this world, oh God, I pray that we may meet in heaven. Pray this believing and trusting in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen. Amen. God bless you.
Mnasemaje? Wakati huu nitaalika kwaya karibuni kwa wimbo. Kwaya ya kanisa.